Hey, Kevin here, Skylabs. Just wanted to do a quick video on a question we get a lot, which is, I'm going to buy a $100 cartridge. What's the best one? Or what's the best cartridge for under $100? Seems like $100 is that entry-level kind of sweet spot. And, you know, I think there's a lot of misinformation out there, and I don't think it's on purpose. I think sometimes people like to base their opinion on maybe what they've purchased. You know, rarely do you see somebody buy something and say, yeah, that wasn't the best choice. At least, or they'll make that claim after they've bought something new, and then they say, yeah, this is way better than the other one. My opinion on this, and you might not like this, would be that I don't think it matters at $100. I really don't. You know, you've got a choice between like Grado, Audio Technica, Nagoka, Ortofon. Now that Shure's out of the game, they're gone. But really, in all reality, you have to look at it like, if you're paying $100 for a cartridge, most likely the manufacturer sold it to whoever you bought it from for 50 or 60 bucks. And, you know, in order for them to make money on that, with overhead and employees and research and development and advertising and everything like that, most likely you're buying a $10 cartridge. So I really doubt at that price point they're doing a whole lot of quality control. You know, and that doesn't mean that you can't tell the difference between them. However, I got a feeling there might be quite a bit of variance. You know, if I bought 10 Ortofon Reds, I think odds are pretty good that there's going to be some pretty good variance between them. The other thing to think about is, you know, you're really that's the bottom of the barrel there. Unless your room's treated, you know, you've been critically listening, your ears are trained to pick up subtle nuances. Most likely at that $100 range, you're not at that level yet. And that's not to say that, you know, you have to spend a lot of money to get good audio. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying at that point, at the entry level, I would almost buy something off what I think it's going to look like on the turntable, because I don't think you're going to hear that much of a difference between a Grado Black and an Ortofon Red. And you know, people online, I love these terms that they come up with. It's absolutely amazing where, you know, they'll say, oh, you know, I just got an Ortofon Red and, you know, it's so detailed, and this is my new favorite one. They say it's musical. And that term, I wish somebody would explain it to me. I think it sounds great. What does musical sound like? I don't know. Maybe somebody can explain it to me, but anyway, if you think a $25 cost to the manufacturer cartridge sounds so much better than a $25 cost to another manufacturer's, makes that much of a difference, then I don't know, you're hearing something I'm not. Personally, I usually go with, you know, I like to go by manufacturer and styling. Like, if I've got a modern turntable, I'll throw an Ortofon on it. I think they look really good. I like the shaping and everything like that. But I also think, you know, Ortofons look really bad on like a Dual or, you know, an old vintage Pioneer. And in that case, I'd either go with probably a Grado. I think, you know, they just look classic. They look like they fit. Besides that, the Audio Technica 3600, if you really want to get on a budget, you know, for 50 bucks, I don't think you can touch them. I really don't. It's a good cartridge. You can pick up stylus is cheap, which is another advantage where, you know, with like a Grado Black, the replacement stylus for it's 50 bucks. with an Ortofon Red, the replacement stylus for it is 70, I think. And with an AT3600, you can get replacement styluses for 10 to 20. So there's a big difference there. As long as you're not using, the Crosley Cruiser Red, 10 for $10 cartridge, I think you're doing great. And for those people out there that are, I really, and we see this. We sell a little bit of records. We're definitely not a record store, but we have a few. And we've got people that come in and they'll buy a couple $100s in records, somewhat regularly. And eventually, it'll come up and you find out they're using a Crosley turntable, and that's sad. You should at least be able to, spend some money on your turntable. These records are getting expensive, and it's a fragile format. They're not indestructible, and you should be aware of how much pressure you're putting on that record, and the instrument or the stylus that's pushing down into that to retrieve that information for you. That's a critical factor there. And if they're able to make a stylus and sell it to you for $1, just think about that, because that's not good. So, if you're getting into this hobby, and most likely you are if you're thinking about buying a $100 cartridge. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, because I've got a turntable that's got a $100 cartridge on it too. It's fine. It sounds great. It doesn't sound musical and dancey and the ultra shimmery on the top and orange. You hear that. That's mainly a guitarist thing, but still, it's just as crazy with the audio fools out there. I kind of lost train of thought where I was, but I totally lost my train of thought. Anyway, you're looking for a $100 cartridge. Go grab one. Use it for a year. If you don't like it, you could probably sell it on eBay, get a little bit of your money back, and then go try another brand. If you're getting up into the 300 range, do some research. You're going to want to make sure the mass of the tone arm matches the cartridge. That's when it's going to start to matter. When you can, and really, somebody that says, well, I don't like the sound of a Grado cartridge, or I don't like the sound of an Ortofon cartridge, and they're basing it off their entry level $75, $79 cartridge. I don't know if you've ever even heard Grado at that point. And that's not to sound snobby or anything like that, but you're talking about nuances that, unless your turntable's correctly set up, going into a serviced receiver or a new receiver or a new amplifier turntable into a well-placed speaker configuration with a little bit of treatment, you're just you're not there yet. And some people, myself included, there's a rabbit hole you go down to where, and it's kind of a joke. It's not really a joke. It's more of it's a conversation of, are you listening to your stereo or are you listening to the music? And some people, once they get to a certain level with their gear, myself included, it's hard to check yourself on that. Whereas you go to sit down, you go to listen to music, and all of a sudden you're like, well, I don't want to listen to that because maybe it wasn't recorded so well, or I want to, this sounds great. The production on it's amazing. The mastering, they did a great job. And you end up listening to stuff. You're listening to your stereo. You're wanting to hear what it can do rather than, enjoying the song for the song. And it's hard to go back. At least it is for me, and I think it is for a lot of other people. So, if you got a $100 cartridge on a $200 turntable, maybe you have $600 in your entire setup, and it sounds good to you, don't mess with it. It's kind of like the Matrix, where you got the choice of the red or the blue pill. And sometimes I wish I would have just stayed in the Matrix and been happy with my $500 or $600 setup. But that's neither here nor there. Now come down here and buy a stereo from us, a real expensive one. or yeah. But yeah, that's the video. I wouldn't get hung up on a $100 cartridge, I guess is what I'm saying. Find one you think is going to look good on your table, grab it, enjoy it, and if you decide to progress, then start digging in and doing some research. And don't listen to anybody that tells you one way or the other unless they've had your specific turntable and they have had both of those cartridges, preferably 2 of those turntables, and then sat there and they beat them, because otherwise they're going off their memory, you know, and they're saying, well, I went, you know, the Grado sounded good, but this Ortofon sounds so much better. Well, you're going off what you remember hearing in the Grado. So, I don't know. Welcome to the greatness and the torture of hi-fi audio, right? Well, cool. Hopefully you got something out of this. Hopefully you're not too pissed off that I didn't give you a Grado's the winner, Ortofon's the winner, you know, waving a flag. I don't think that's fair to anybody, and I don't think it's the reality of the situation. So, cool. We'll see you next time. Thanks.